Coming up on Juice and Java, as always, we kick things off with the squeeze and this week's top stories.
And we have a live look at the March for Our Lives event in Syracuse.
Plus, the JJ Winter Games come to an end with some help of our furry friends here.
Juice and Java starts right now. Good morning, I'm Rebekah Castor.
And I'm Noah Eagle. Thanks for starting your morning with us.
Let's kick things off with the squeeze. President Trump is once again bringing the subject of letting transgender people serve in the military to the front lines. He issued a memo last night saying he would be bringing back the ban on people with a history of gender dysphoria in military service. The White House says this is the line with armed forces drug policies, insisting that transgender troops benefit from drugs that violate those rules. This is the second time the president has made such a call. It remains to be seen if this memo will be able to take action, as several courts and judges blocked the last attempt.
You know, when I listen to this, it does kind of pain me a little bit, because if you want to serve your country, if you want to risk your life, you should be able to do that no matter who you are. And you hate to hear that anybody would be limited in that ability to serve their country, to risk their life, to put themselves on the line and help others. You know?
Unfortunately, with this new policy, if it does get passed, those that are serving the military that started under the Obama administration can still serve even if they do have a history of gender dysphoria. So at least they're not kicking people out that are already in. But I don't like this either.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it all kind of transpires, if it does come to fruition at all, because it's just a memo for right now. But I would hate to see it, you know, come together. As I said, it really does kind of pain me a little bit. You know, President Trump would have to deal with this question. I don't. What would you do with $1.3 trillion? Well, if you're President Trump, you signed the spending bill, and you know what? That was a pretty good idea, because that kept the government open until September. Lawmakers worked for weeks to avoid a government shutdown. The majority of the funding goes to defense spending, infrastructure projects, and money to combat the opioid epidemic. However, the 2,232-page bill did not address DACA recipients or fully fund President Trump's border wall. President Trump considered vetoing the bill because of these two issues, but ultimately decided to keep the government open.
As a matter of national security, I've signed this omnibus budget bill. There are a lot of things that I'm unhappy about in this bill, but I say to Congress, I will never.
Yes, President Trump, you know, people were on the fence about whether or not he was actually going to pass this bill. He threatened on Twitter that he wasn't going to pass it. Yeah. And once he did pass it, he said this bill's ridiculous.
Well, I love the fact that he threatened on Twitter. Of course, he loves his tweets. But I will say this was probably the right move for him. I just think that if he didn't pass this and another government shutdown comes about, another hiccup in government and everything that's been going on, it looks bad on him. And at this point, he really needs to just consider his name and everything that's going on with that, I would say.
Yes, he does. And more pressure for the White House. While some thought the aluminum tariffs were a new hope for the United States, the repercussions came this week when China struck back. The latest episode in Trade Wars came out on Friday when China said they would impose tariffs on $3 billion of American goods. The tariffs covered goods from pork to seamless steel pipes. The biggest impact this will have is on businesses that use metals for their products. The stock market fell dramatically following the announcement. The Dow dropped over 700 points on Thursday and continued to fall on Friday despite the U.S. passing the spending bill.
Well, you want to talk about saving your name. This is not the right move, is messing with China.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with China. You know, China and the United States are two of the largest economies. I'm interested to see, you know, if Japan or Canada or Mexico, how they're going to respond to this, you know, being such large economies as well. I don't know why we're messing with China.
No, and everything, I feel like every time you go and you buy something, it says made in China, right? This is not the way you want to go about a country that's really supplying us with a lot of our, you know, materials.
Basically, China is the #1 country you do not want to get into a trade war in, and we are in that.
You heard it here first. You also may want to think twice before you take that quiz to find out which Disney princess you are on Facebook. I always get Ariel from The Little Mermaid. I don't know why. In 2014, the social media giant released a personality test and harvested the data from users and users' friends. 27,000 people took the quiz, but 50 million were affected. former employee of Cambridge Analytica, a data mining company, says Facebook sold them the information. Both companies deny this, but Cambridge Analytica does own the data now, and it allegedly used it to help Donald Trump's 2016 presidential campaign. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg has since apologized and introduced new steps to protect user data privacy.
So not only did Facebook stock drop significantly from this, obviously, but Mark Zuckerberg actually has lost over $10 billion just this week
just
from
a slap
this
on the
scandal.
wrist, right?
But $10 billion in 1 week from this scandal, that's crazy.
It is. That is nuts. I'm glad you're doing your homework, by the way. You know what? For me, this just shows that nothing on the internet is safe. Nothing that you put out on your phone, nothing that's on your Facebook profile, whatever, it's not safe. You have to remember, be careful what you're putting out there.
Yeah, and I know Facebook is definitely going to make sure they have stricter security so that doesn't happen again in the next presidential election.
Absolutely.
And now some news for your inner child. You can now get Toys R Us products for significantly cheaper prices. The famous toy chain is closing the doors of more than 700 of its stores after declaring bankruptcy earlier this month. Prices were supposed to drop earlier, which angered customers expecting to see better deals. Not everyone is ready to see the beloved toys goes, however, with one GoFundMe campaign raising $200 million to save 400 stores nationwide. This might come as some comfort to the family of Charles Lazarus, founder of Toys R Us, who died just weeks after the chain declared bankruptcy.
I don't know about you, Rebecca, but I hate this. Because this is basically everything that when we were growing up as kids, that we played and did and went outside and used toys, gone.
Yeah, I'm sad to see Toys R Us go as well.
Yeah.
You know, I remember walking into Toys R Us with my siblings and my parents. We all got to pick different toys, and we would honestly stay there for hours just playing in all the different sections.
Right, and now that is gone. It's only iPad. Kids are all over this. And that's sad to me because I have so many great memories of going and picking out a great toy, and you know, like
yeah, it's kind of like Blockbuster. You know how that's gone now?
I was a big Blockbuster fan. Now there's just IKEA, I guess, you know. The Patriots may have lost the Super Bowl, but they're still flying high. Team owner Robert Kraft lent his plane to the families of the 17 victims of the Parkland shooting to travel to the March for Our Lives. The event, organized by students from Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, is the culmination of months of rallying around gun control. Kraft was contacted by Representative Gabrielle Gifford to offer up the plane, and he says what they experienced is unfair and they need to be heard on a national platform. Now, change may already be coming. Just Friday, the Justice Department proposed a ban on bump stocks devices that turn guns into automatic weapons.
You know, Noah, say what you want about the Patriots, but I love this move by the team owner, and I'm excited that those families get to be in Washington today.
As a Jets fan, I despise the Patriots. I despise Robert Kraft, but you have to love this move. Very commendable by him to go out of his way to give back, and really it's also just shedding more light on this issue. Despite all the attention it's gotten, he's saying we need to give more attention. We need to make sure that we are making a difference after what happened.
Yeah, and I wonder if there will be any backlash from this. You know, we see the NFL going political again. I wonder if there is going to be any backlash from people that are against gun control going after the NFL.
Yeah, no sticking to sports here.
After the break, SU with Purpose is in studio.
Stay with us.
Leaving hot coals improperly extinguished can cause a wildfire.
Hey guys, it's Smokey!
It looks as if Smokey is going to use the drown, stir, drown and feel technique. After the first drown, a good stir. Next, another drink. And finally, a close field.
Is it cool? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Smokey, catch. Oh, my bad, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.
Welcome back. A public relations club at SU participated in a national campaign for the With Purpose organization.
Two of the leaders of this campaign are in studio, Darby and Liz, to tell us what this is all about. Thanks so much for coming in today, guys. So just to start off, what is this and what is the connection to SU With Purpose?
So we are both working with Hill Communications, which is our on-campus PR firm, through PRSSA. And so this is a national case study competition that happens every year. Teams of 4 or 5 at different schools all over the country compete for this case study competition. And this year our client is With Purpose, which is an organization that raises awareness for the pain points surrounding pediatric cancer.
And sticking with Purpose, how did that actually get started as an entire idea?
So there's two parents, Aaron and Mike, I believe.
Yes.
And their son Sam was diagnosed with cancer at a very young age, and they realized that they didn't really have any safe or effective treatments for him. So they really wanted to just make sure he was living out the rest of his life and he was happy with his last few moments. And they really started this organization based on like Sam's friends in the community. It was really started by young leaders. So we wanted to focus with our campaign on the young leaders within the Syracuse community to bring this awareness to our campus.
Very cool.
So what are the next steps with SU With Purpose?
So our campaign actually wrapped on March 15th. We're very excited. We had a lot of really fun events all over campus. We had movie nights, we had happy hours at DJ's on the Hill, and we had a lot of fun doing it. Right now, we're working on submitting our final report. We have a write-up due next week, actually, and we're very excited about turning that in. And then in a few weeks, we'll be getting our score from the judges.
All right, thank you so much, girls.
Yeah, guys, this is great.
Thank you
Good
so
luck.
much for having us. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. When we come back, the JJ Winter Olympics come to an end. Stay tuned.
They'll test you. Try to break your will. But however loud the loudness gets, however many cheese puffs may fly, you're the driver, the one in control. Stand firm. Just wait. And move only when you hear the click that says they're buckled in for the drive. Never give up till they buckle up.
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average four-legged homie, and then wham-bam minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
Patriotism. It inspires passionate debate. It's worn like a badge of honor with good reason, because it means love and devotion for one's country. But what really makes up this country of ours? It's the people. To love America is to love all Americans. This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, sexuality, disability, race, religion, and other labels. Because love has no labels.
Welcome back to Juice and Java.
Well, it's the finale of the JJ Winter Games. The sun is out, it's shining bright. You ready to finish it off?
Yes, I'm so happy that I'm back from the actual Olympics to partake in the last event for Juice and Java.
I actually don't know if that's allowed. I'm pretty sure you need to be here for the opening ceremonies to participate, but we'll make the exception.
Thank you, thank you. We're here at a local dog sledding camp, which is about an hour away from Syracuse, and we have Nancy Stark here, who's actually going to teach us how to do a dog sled.
Hi, Orange. I'm the pack mom. I think it's time to meet the kids. Let's go. I'd like you to meet the pack. And here's our star. Come on, Daisy. This is Daisy. She's my firstborn. And as you can see, she has coloring that you won't find on an AKC chart, because these dogs are bred specifically not for breed, but for the qualities that make a good sled dog, which is a great coat, nice long legs, an incredible desire to pull, and perseverance through the snow. So if you want to check out the other dogs, you'll see that they come in many colors, shapes, and personalities.
Oh, yeah, you got lounging back there. You got active up here. I like that.
They're all ready to take you for a sled dog ride.
Yeah, I'm ready to get started.
Woo! And we're off!
You know, they go a lot faster than I thought they would go.
I hope you had a good time. I love my beloved sled dogs, and it is such a pleasure to share them whenever we can. So,
Well,
and
I think the real question that we have is, who is the better sledder?
I think it's a tie.
Yeah, we both were kind of rough. You know, it was my first time, but Noah's been dog sledding before, so I think you should have done a little bit better.
I knew to look out for the waste on the ground.
Okay,
You
gross.
both stayed in the sled, and that makes you 10 on my chart.
Thanks so much, Nancy. Thanks for letting us come out and meet all the dogs and try dog sledding.
Great. Go Orange.
Juice and Java will be right back.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
Did you hear about the pony with a sore throat? He was a little horse. Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding. Why couldn't the Wait, why was the basketball court all wet? Why? Because the players kept dribbling all over it. Where did cats go on vacation? New York.
I see you mobbing over her. Let's go. Let's mob. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, we mobbing. Come on, girl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, let's crawl. Hey, yo.
Last month, 17 students were killed at a high school in Parkland, Florida in a school shooting. They have rallied the country around their call for stricter gun control, organizing the March for Our Lives to put pressure on legislators.
Georgetown student Christopher Mangello is at the march in D.C. right now, which is set to start at noon. Christopher, how's the atmosphere in D.C.?
The march is expected to have 500,000 participants attend.
Not sure if we have Chris in D.C. or not. Okay, so he's going to come with us soon. So today there's the March for Our Lives event in Washington, D.C., and so many people from all across the country have traveled there to participate in the walk today.
It's super
I'm really
exciting.
excited to see what comes from today.
I mean, it's really cool that they organized this, and I believe we do have Chris now. So Chris, how's the atmosphere going on in D.C. right now?
Several blocks away from Pennsylvania Avenue, where the official protest will take place. The march is expected to have 500,000 participants attend, and as a result of this, some roads by the White House will be blocked off. In fact, officials have recommended using public transportation. As of now, the Metro will be using rush hour services.
And Chris, what are some of the events lined up for today?
Well, apart from the actual protesting and walking, organizers have lined up several famous headliners such as Jennifer Hudson, Ariana Grande, Miley Cyrus, Demi Lovato, and Lin-Manuel Miranda to perform.
And Chris, part of that crowd you'll be walking with includes some of the students from Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School who organized the event. What are some of the things that they did to prepare for the march?
Yes, Noah, as you have said, students from Stoneman Douglas High School have been organizing this event since the Parkland shooting, which occurred on Valentine's Day. Students have raised awareness for this event by going on media outlets, creating a website, creating an app, and even creating a Facebook page. So far, the students have raised over $3 million. In fact, the students have also organized sister events throughout the country, such as in New York City, Los Angeles, Boston, Chicago, Virginia, and even Syracuse, New York.
Thank you so much, Christopher. Enjoy the march today. And a march is taking place here in Syracuse, and we have Lilia Wood reporting live from the spot. Now, Lilia, where and when are things taking off here in Syracuse?
Yeah, guys, well, I'm standing outside Everson Plaza where things will be kicking off at noon. We're going to start here, and we're going to make it all the way to the Federal Building. It's about 0.7 miles. It's allotted to take around 2 hours along with the ceremony.
And even though New York has some of the toughest gun control laws compared to other states, what are some of the goals of Our Lives campaign in Syracuse?
Well, once I talked to student organizers, they said at a state level, they want the age to be raised from 18 to 21 years old for semi-automatic guns. So that's what they want to do really at a state level, the New York level, why they're coming out locally today. But at a state level, March for Our Lives all together, they're trying to bring a bill to Congress. They want to put it in front of Congress and say, this is a gun control law. I know both sides don't necessarily agree, but we should all come together and agree on something. And that's what the students are trying to do today.
And as some people are heading to the protests now, what can they expect when they get out there?
Well, the students aren't really sure how many people they should be expecting, but they're expecting thousands, they think. On Facebook, over 3,000 people said they're interested. At 1.2 RSVP'd saying that they are definitely coming. Currently, right now, before the march gets started, there are people making posters, they're handing out t-shirts, and everyone's rallying together before the big kickoff at noon.
Thanks so much, Lillian. Enjoy the march. Now, coming up on Juice and Java, host Connor Federico is here to recap the Syracuse men's basketball season. Stay with us.
Those guys.
Are you good to drive?
I'm fine.
How many did you have?
I should be fine.
You should be.
Go and step out of the vehicle for me.
See ya, buddy. Good luck.
So turns out, buzz driving and drunk driving, they're the same thing, and it costs around $10,000. So not worth it.
Got a quarter?
Well, the miracle run for Syracuse men's basketball has finally come to an end.
Even though a season-ending loss to Duke particularly stings, I consider it a pretty successful overall season for the Orange. And here to break it down is our other Juice and Java host and sports analyst for the day, Connor Federico. Connor, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Let's just start with this. You know, it was a successful season, but they did come up short last night. How close was Syracuse to actually beating Duke in that tough Sweet 16 matchup?
Well, 69-65. It came so down to the wire once again, like it always does with Syracuse basketball come tournament time. You look at some of the stats. Tyus Battle shot over 50% from the field, 4 for 8 from the three-point line with 9 points. He really did everything he could to keep the Orange in it, but 15 turnovers, that's pretty much unacceptable at this point when you make it so far. 15 turnovers, really tough to overcome, but you can't talk about the play enough of Marvin Bagley and Wendell Carter going 6 for 8 from the free throw line and 8 for 11 from the free throw line towards the end of the game when Syracuse needed a foul. Those guys were just clutch for the Blue Devils, and that was really the difference in this one.
So, I mean, we barely made it into the tournament, and here we are. We ended up in the Sweet 16. So we had a pretty good year, right?
I never would have dreamed that us three would be having this conversation right now this morning. It was a really successful season overall. I think that this team really did all they could in terms of the talent that they had to figure it all out, to get to this point, to really make an impact on the city of Syracuse and Central New York with the limited talent that they had. It was really a miracle run. You talk about the wins against Miami, the wins against Clemson. Those were clutch wins that the Orange needed to get into the tournament. They did have plenty of hiccups along the way, just a 20-win regular season, but good for Syracuse to get to this point. It really says a lot about Jim Boeheim as a coach in the NCAA tournament and you know what Central New York is really all about. It's basketball.
Yeah, Coach Boeheim proved yet again why he is a legend in the game. And you know what? I think people forget that this team has a lack of scholarships compared to others due to NCAA sanctions. So looking ahead to the future, what do we think we can expect? I think some talking points that some people at home are going to want to hear about. Tyus Battle, does he stay? O'Shea Brissett, does he stay? Incoming freshmen, how talented is this team truly going to be next year?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, Noah, because O'Shea Brissett last night, people asked him, what are you going to do with your future? He could have been a late first-round pick in the NBA draft this year. It seems like he's erring on the side of staying at school and staying at Syracuse.
That's good to hear.
Getting another year. That's really what Orange fans and Jim Boeheim especially want to hear. But when you talk about bringing in Darius Baisley next year and Jalen Carey, it's going to be a really stacked team for Syracuse. If Tyus Battle stays, he's also looking at that late first round, maybe early or mid-second round NBA draft stock. Other Syracuse guys in the past, they go a little bit early. They might consider it a bit of a mistake. They don't make as much of a wave as they want to. Maybe these guys stay, and maybe they put together a really good roster and maybe a deeper run next year.
Yeah, that's something that Coach Boeheim had said earlier this year is a lot of these guys, we saw Malachi Richardson, we saw Tyler Lydon the last 2 years, late first-round picks, and they end up in the G League. They're not even really playing. I think that a lot of these players are starting to realize if you're not going early in the first round, then what's the point?
Exactly, and we'll see what these Orange players decide to do. The one thing that we all know is they love Central New York. They love playing in front of 30,000 plus in the Carrier Dome. It's really an experience in it of itself. So we'll see if they stay.
Yeah.
Should be fun to watch. Well, thank you so much, Connor.
My pleasure, guys.
That's all for Juice and Java this morning.
Check us out online at CitrusTV.com and follow CitrusTV on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I'm Noah Eagle.
And I'm Rebekah Castor. Have a great weekend, Syracuse.